Shields up, Iron Breakers, and welcome back to Monster Hunter Wilds. In today's video, I'm going to be bringing you a crash course on how to play the Charge Blade based on what I've learned so far on the Monster Hunter Wilds beta. This is not going to be a full-on Charge Blade guide simply because there's a ton of moves in the Charge Blade and I want to actually play the final game in order to do one of those. But if you've never picked up the weapon, I am going to be going over some of the basics of the Charge Blade, so you should be able to pick up the weapon after this video and go beat up on a Doshiguma or something like that, okay? So, we're going to go through the basics, and afterwards I'm going to be giving you guys some of the new moves and stuff like that, but it is going to be interweaved. I'll try to be as brief as I possibly can. So, if you've never picked up the weapon before, the one thing that you're going to want to master is the Charge Double Slash, which is just hold down circle, and then release at the right time, and you get this. Don't hold it down all the way, because then you get this little whiff. That's not what you want. You want to release it as soon as the charge is done to get that. And then, immediately after that, you want to follow that up with a triangle attack, because that's going to give you a guard point at the end of that move. There's another follow-up to this move, which is the triangle circle, which gives it a little shield thrust, which is also good, but the one that I would recommend in most situations, particularly if you're a newbie, is go with the triangle follow-up to that. The reason you want to learn this combo is because this is what generates the most file charge onto your weapon, at least as far as I'm aware, and it is just a pretty good combo for you to learn. You go up to the monster, bam, follow it with the triangle, and Bob is your uncle, okay? So, another very important thing when it comes to the Charge Blade is you're going to have to learn how to move around the battlefield. And this doesn't just involve, oh, I got to sheath it because I have to actually move. Charge Blade boasts really, really good mobility. So one of the things that you want to learn is pressing circle and a direction immediately after any attack is going to give you the sliding slash, which is very good. It gives you a lot of mobility. You can even move forward. So after any attack, you press circle and a direction, and your character will move in that direction and do a slash, and it moves a lot, as you can see. This is fantastic for positioning, and one of the new things with focus mode being introduced, you can even do sliding slash from focus mode without requiring an attack input like we used to have to do in the past. So focus mode is basically press down on L2, and as you can see, we are now on aim mode. Your character can also start strafing. You can do your regular attacks like this as well, but if you notice, if you just press circle while you're moving, your character will actually do the sliding slash, which is pretty good. This also allows you to aim your SADs and do all of that good stuff, so yeah, cool beans. Now, one of the first things that you're going to have to learn when it comes to Charge Blade is learning how to charge your files. So you do the combo that I taught you how to do. If you look to the top left-hand side, you'll notice that the files section, which looks like those little bottles, are actually glowing yellow. Whenever they're glowing yellow, if you slot it into your shield, that is going to give you 3 files, I believe, but usually you want to wait until that glows red. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now it's glowing red. That's good. That means that now you can load these into your shield. If you keep attacking after they start glowing red, by the way, you're going to go into overdrive, and now your weapon's going to bounce like a maniac, see? So if this happens to you with Charge Blade, and then you get frustrated, like, why doesn't Charge Blade work? It keeps bouncing, it sucks! If this happens to you, it's because you don't know how to slot your files into the shield, which is basically, you hold the block button, then you press circle, boom! Now you have 5 files into your shield. So what you can do with those files is you can actually go ahead and swap into axe mode at this point, which you can do by pressing block and triangle. And then you press circle, and that is going to unload those files. See, we use the file there, that exploded into the barrel. And then if you keep pressing circle, it does another one, then you can press circle again and does one final hit, which is the amped elemental discharge. And this time there's yet another follow-up that you can do, but you need to actually charge your shield to be able to do that. And at this point, you guys are like, well, how do I charge my shield? What the hell am I doing? Now I'm in an axe mode. I'm not even in sword mode. What's going on? In order to swap back to sword mode, just press the block button, which is R2, and it swaps back into sword. See, this weapon's going to be swapping back and forth between sword and, sword and shield and axe mode. That's kind of like the point of the whole thing. You guys probably know by now. So let's go ahead and charge our files again, so that I can give you guys an idea as to how this works. So we're in the red, so we're going to go ahead, charge those files. Boom. Once you charge the files, the next thing that you got to learn is how to charge your shield. So the way that we used to charge our shield in the olden days is you just mash triangle and circle as a combo, and you're eventually going to do this. Then you press R2 in the middle of that combo, and that is going to charge your shield. Okay? You press R2 right as she loads the shield, and that is going to charge the shield. Right? Now that the shield is charged, you're able to do a couple of more interesting things. Your shield does more damage. Also, when you do perfect blocks, it deals damage to the enemies and all of that good stuff, okay? So now the other thing that you want to do is you want to learn how to charge your sword, which is something that a lot of people forget. Once your shield is charged, if you then do a load animation again, it's going to whiff because there's no phials, but you can still power through that by holding down triangle. It will charge your sword. Then you release at the top of the animation and you get that. Now your sword is charged, so your sword is also going to deal phial damage now. So this is something that you definitely want to be doing because it's additional damage. It also does KO damage. It's really good. It's the whole point of the charge blade. You charge your shield, charge your sword, and then Bob's your uncle, right? Now, there is a way to do Savage Axe, which some of you guys might not know what that is. But Savage Axe now requires input from monsters or having a bomb, which I don't have in this particular section of the tutorial. So we'll show you that when we actually fight the Chatacabra. But basically, for those of you that just want to know how it works, in order to get to Savage Axe this time around, you're going to need to perform a perfect block and follow that with triangle, or a power clash and follow that with triangle, or a mount finisher, which also charges it up, or your focus strike. Now, the focus strike is L2 plus R1, which is the same for everyone, but it only ever works if you happen to have a wound to break. But once you do your focus strike on a wound, it will trigger Savage Axe mode, and that's how you actually break the wound, which is pretty cool, but that will trigger Savage Axe, which lasts for about 2 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just for people to know what Savage Axe is. If you don't know what Savage Axe is, you'll see it working when we go kill the Chatacabra. Don't you worry about that. Now, the other thing is, I just showed you how to charge your shield and how to charge your sword, but these were the old ways of doing it. So charging the sword is still the same, but charging the shield can now be done in a different way. So if we go ahead and we load up on phials, as you can see, we have enough phials. We're going to charge the shield, but this time I want you to hold down circle all the way, okay? Here's what's going to happen. Your shield is now charged, and it's also a guard point as she does that. That's a guard point right there. So you instantly charge your shield. You don't have to go through the cumbersome, mashing triangle and circle and then canceling and doing all that stuff. You can just charge your shield by loading the phials on there. And once you load the phials, you keep pressing circle, and it will automatically charge your shield, which is a really cool thing. It's really nice shortcut, really good quality of life for charge blade mains, in my opinion. So learn that one. So you've already learned how to switch into axe and do all of that good stuff. You've learned about elemental discharge. But now that we have our shield charged, you'll notice that the combo paths open up a little bit more when we're in axe mode. So let's swap to axe mode. And then after you get into axe mode, if you press circle, then circle again, and then circle again, that's going to go into amped elemental discharge. And then there's another one. Now that's pretty cool, huh? And that's a guard point at the end of that. At least I believe it is. I haven't gotten to practice it as much as I would like because, there's only so many hours in a day. Now, one thing that you'll notice here is that we have a file that looks a little bit different. That's because you can overcharge your files now. Now, overcharging your files is basically you load them into the shield twice. You load this in now, boom. Files are now overcharged. Overcharged files basically just deal more damage than regular files, and also they increase duration if you happen to load it on your shield. So if you load your shield with just regular files, that's about 2 minutes, give or take. And if you load your shield with overcharged files, that is going to be 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I just timed that a little bit earlier today. So it's actually really good to, just get your shield loaded up like this, because then you're going to be good to go for the next 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So I highly recommend. Now, the other thing is, you can also charge your sword. You don't need to charge it with overcharged files because you don't actually use files to charge the sword. And then after that, let's get into shortcuts to get into super amped elemental discharge, shall we? So obviously you want to charge files all the way because that's going to deal more damage. Now, the way that you get to your super amped elemental discharge, you can no longer do it by just mashing triangle and circle, which is how we used to do it. Well, technically speaking, you can, but there's going to be bigger paths that you have to follow, like so. You're going to do this, then you're going to do this if you keep mashing triangle and circle, and that goes into amped elemental discharge. But you can also add another move in there in case you want to extend that combo. That move is going to be, let me just go ahead and load it up all the way because I like loading it up all the way because it's more fun when you have your files completely busted overcharged, right? What you can do is after you do your super amped elemental discharge, you can follow it up, your amped elemental discharge, you can follow it up with a circle, and then after that circle attack, you can do super amped elemental discharge, which is, you know, obviously a ton more damage. Now, an important thing to do in the midst of all this nonsensory is you want to be using your focus mode to aim your attacks properly, even though it's kind of hard to aim at this tiny-ass barrel because we didn't get a proper training dummy in this demo, but obviously you want to be using your focus mode to take advantage of being able to aim all of these attacks that you're going to be doing. Another thing is if you swap into axe mode, you can just straight up go into amped elemental discharge, which people will already know. But, you know, now I'm going to actually be using the focus mode to aim, and that gives us a little bit more control. But this is kind of how stuff works when it comes to the charge blade, okay? So the whole thing, if you're completely new here, just charge up your files. This time around, you have to charge up your files twice. After you charge them twice, be sure to charge up your shield because that is going to go ahead and give you as much time as possible on your shield by holding down on circle. And then after you charge that, you want to load up on your files again. And on the second one, you might want to charge up your sword as well by holding down triangle. Then after that, we can go ahead and we can charge the files one more time to really go into overdrive. And now you can go and you can do all of the crazy shenanigans with your SADs or going into axe mode, playing with axe mode, using savage axe, all of that good stuff. Bob is your uncle. But now, let me go ahead and show you guys what this looks like by beating on a Chatacabra, because that's fun. Okay, so our target's up ahead. Once again, we're going to be approaching with Sacred. You have a very basic attack here, which is basically like a three-piece combo, 1, 2, 3, which you can do, but, you know, I don't really use these mounted attacks all that much personally. Another attack that you can do is, once again, kind of like what I showed you guys in the Gunlance, the previous video. You can press X to jump off and then R2 to do a slam down attack in axe mode, which is pretty good. And then you have your basic dismount attack, which is basically triangle and circle, where he jumps off and does a little bit of a shield thrust into a slashing attack into a shield thrust, which is also pretty good. But as we did with the Gunlance, we're actually going to sneak up on him. I'm going to be using the mantle. As people told me, you don't really have to use the mantle. I just use the mantle so that I can run up to him and do it. You can also just like crouch down when you approach, and you can do all of that, and then you can use the mantle again if you want to. You know, it's a Chatacabra for crying out loud. So you're going to approach, and you're going to do the sneak attack. Some pretty good damage straight off the bat. Then you're going to go into charge level slash, like I said, into the triangle, and as you can see, we already got enough things to charge it up. I'm going to just go ahead and charge the shield. It's less duration, but it's really whatever. You can charge the shield with overcharged files that'll last longer, but I don't have a problem recharging the shield a couple of times. So we're going to go ahead and grab those files, and I'm going to have to charge it once again, take it into the red. I was also trying to get a guard point there. Okay, now the files are overcharged. I forgot to load up on my SNS. So it's on my sword, I mean. There we go. Now the sword's charged as well. Now let's go ahead and see if we can trigger the Savage Axe mode. We're gonna need a guard point. No, actually no. He has a wound, right? Yeah, he's got a wound. So we're gonna be using the Focus Strike, which is L2R1. That's gonna charge up our Savage Axe right there. There, we now have Savage Axe. Now, the way that Savage Axe works is if you hold your attacks as you are attacking, that is going to deal additional hits, like so. So you hit the attack like this, then you can do another one, and you can use focus mode to turn around. And you notice that every time that you do attacks like this, it deals a couple of extra hits. Now, you can also use proper file attacks by pressing on circle. We do this. As you can see, that's pretty devastating. We have a couple of more wounds. I'm actually going to follow this up into Super Amped Elemental Discharge. Boom. We're going to make use of these wounds to refresh our Savage Axe. And also just to deal a ton of damage, because why not? Which is pretty friggin' disgusting if you ask me, but it feels pretty friggin' good. Bonk! We got a KO there because of phial discharges. Let's go ahead and actually just wipe him out with the big wombo of the triangle spam into Super Amped Elemental Discharge. Oh no, I lost my shield charge there. Let's go ahead and charge that. Oh man, I should have been aiming that at him. We got a perfect guard. And we got a perfect guard there. I shouldn't have done that particular move. Should have actually went into triangle because that would give me the Savage Axe, but I still don't have the perfect muscle memory for this. Well, let's go ahead. Got a couple more phials in here. Charge these phials all the way. Want to charge them twice now. Remember, that muscle memory is going to mess with you a little bit in the beginning. Charge those. Oh man. Why you gotta do that? I just want to charge my sword. Okay, I'm just not gonna charge the sword then, if you're gonna be like that. I'm gonna go into axe mode, start punishing, because we do have Savage Axe. That is just vicious. Dude, these focus strikes feel so good. But now let's actually seal the deal, shall we? Mash triangle and circle. Full on Super Amped Elemental Discharge. Gorgeous. Now we have to charge phials again. Trying to go for a guard point there, but I whiffed it. Bro, Chatacabra just breaks so nicely. Gonna actually charge the sword here. There's the wombo combo. We actually got a perfect block there in that guard point, which, by the way, guard points are 2 in triangle, and then sometimes you get it in the middle of your moves, like there's one here. But yeah, guard points are going to be something that just comes with practice. Now, let's go ahead and give it the Super Amped treatment again. Even though we've lost quite a bit of sharpness here, let's get a proper sharpness going. Let's actually make use of the shock trap our Palico's got going here. That is lovely. Triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle. Boom! And again. Now we have quite a few wounds. Into the focus strike. God, this just feels so good. It should be illegal. Just remember, in order to regain phials onto your weapon, you have to be in sword mode. As he is now leaving, we could actually go ahead and equip the Ghillie Mantle and get another sneak attack. Which we will do because I'm a devious bastard. Man, where are you going? You're gonna move to a different zip code there, Chatacabra? Like, it's not happening, brother. You're gonna have to go ahead and suffer the wrath of the Charge Blade. But yeah, this is kind of like Charge Blade in a nutshell here. All it takes is a little bit of practice. I understand that a lot of people look to this weapon as like something that's super hard to play, the most mechanically demanding weapon in the game. I've always found it to be fairly simple if you just think about, oh, I need to get into the Super Amped Elemental Discharge, and you just do the moves that you got to do to get in there. And then whatever you happen to learn along the way, that comes as a bonus. But that'll get you started, right? Then you'll start to learn how to use Savage Axe a little bit more. Get all of that stuff going. That is some nice phial charge that you get off of that. Let's go ahead and charge our shield. You guys can't really see, but we just charge our shield there. Oh, that becomes a weak spot, by the way, when he does that. Whenever he puts out his tongue, that becomes a weak point, and you can punish that. There's also some moves that Ray Dao does that also do that, even though there's no wound. Let's go ahead and charge our sword here. There's a guard point. Let's charge that again. Now, I think I'm actually going to go for X mode combos. Oh man. See, I was trying not to go too hard because he just dies so fast. But hopefully this helped you out, learn a little bit more about the Charge Blade. Once the actual game comes out, I'll be sure to do a more comprehensive guide where I go over every single move of the weapon, probably in a training area or something like that. But for now, that's going to be it. You guys let me know if this helped you in any way. Let me know if I actually missed anything, because since the Charge Blade is not really my main weapon, there is a possibility that I missed a couple of moves. Let me know in the comment section down below, but for now, that's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.